And this is on the subject of mindfulness, and we have with us today a wonderful person, a wonderful woman by the name of Cassondra Graff. She's got a Master's of Science in LCSW. She's a licensed psychotherapist in private practice here in San Diego. And she integrates mindfulness and compassion-based approaches to her work with individuals, couples, and groups. She runs the Speaker Bureau at the UCSD Center for Mindfulness, where she also teaches mindfulness-based stress reduction. And something that I think is particularly interesting to us, which is mindfulness, self-compassion, and mindful parenting. So not only is she a teacher and a psychotherapist, she's also a parent. So she knows what it's like to walk a mile in your shoes. So I will turn it over to Cassondra, and let's be mindful to give her our fullest attention. Big hand.
Oh, this is, Todd, this is yours. Hi, I'm Cassondra. Glad to be here.
To the mic, yeah, right into the mic.
Can you hear me now? Is that a little better?
That's good.
Okay, great. So now that we're all physically present, I'd like to guide you in a little practice to bring our minds and our hearts more fully into the present moment. So, indulge me. We're going to do a little practice. So right where you are, just get comfortable right in your chairs. And if you're comfortable with it, closing your eyes, either partially or fully. And let's begin by simply listening to the sounds in the room. Just sitting in the midst of sounds. Letting sounds come to you. And now, bringing attention into your body and noticing physical sensations. Notice the pressure where your legs or your back make contact with a chair. Just noticing the gentle pressure there. And then noticing other sensations in your body, like pulsing, tingling, maybe even itching. Noticing temperature, coolness, and warmth. And all we're doing is noticing. Simply allowing physical sensations to just be. And now, becoming aware of sitting here in this chair. In this room. and in this moment. And resting in your experience just as it is right now. And as you're ready, slowly opening your eyes. Just noticing how you feel. So it all starts here with us. I want to acknowledge that you're here because you face ongoing challenges caring for children with this rare genetic condition. I can only imagine the stressors you face daily. Today, I hope to offer you an introduction to some skills that might help. The skills of mindfulness and mindful self-compassion. As caregivers, you face high levels of stress, and you're at risk for burnout. You need something sustainable for the long haul. My hope is to help you begin to tap into your own inner resources and utilize the best resource you have, yourself. We can't get rid of stress, but we can learn a whole new way to relate to it. How we relate to stressors and challenges can make all the difference in the long haul, and can have a lot to do with whether or not we can enhance the quality of life for you and your children. We can learn to respond to stress in healthy, wise ways, much more sustainable ways. And beyond just sustainable, sorry about that, let's see if we can go beyond just sustainable and open to living with more resilience, maybe even more and more moments of joy, contentment. How? It all starts here with us. As you learn skillful ways to support and calm yourselves, your children can learn ways to calm themselves in relation to you. So I'm sure you know, if you're stressed and agitated, your children will likely pick up on that and maybe become more agitated themselves. It goes back and forth. We have this thing called empathic resonance. We affect each other. So it all starts with you. What state you're in affects your child. In addition to this, later on we're going to talk about a few practices, simple little practices that you might be able to do together with your children. So I want to talk a little bit about mindfulness and what it is. A brief definition of mindfulness is awareness in the present moment with acceptance. Awareness of whatever's happening here in the present moment with acceptance. It's only here in the present moment that we actually live our lives. The past is gone. The future hasn't arrived yet. It's only here in the present moment that we can learn, grow, heal, and experience our lives directly. It takes practice to do this. Mindfulness builds our awareness and is a skill. And just like with any skill, we need to practice with it to integrate it into our systems. Practice builds the mindfulness muscle. It's like exercise, builds the muscle. And it all starts with you. So we're moving from thought living to experience living. So instead of living primarily just through the lens of thoughts and perceptions, what we're doing is we're aiming to live life more directly by experiencing it, often through our senses and our bodies. Wouldn't you rather eat chocolate than just think about it? So when we can show up in the present moment and not run from it and resist it, then we can begin to open to the wonder of it. Socrates said, I need wisdom with this mic. Wisdom begins in wonder. Wisdom begins in wonder. Mindfulness can help us to live happier, more fulfilled lives. So just a little bit about the science behind mindfulness. There's been more scientific research on mindfulness than any other form of meditation, and an overwhelming body of evidence confirming the power of this practice to change our lives. Science has shown that, among other things, mindfulness can strengthen our immune system. It can increase the gray matter, thicken parts of our brains, and it can even help the longevity of our chromosomes. It can reduce anxiety, depression, chronic pain, just to name a few. There's way too much research to talk about here, but if you're interested, you could easily just Google mindfulness research, and a whole bunch of studies will pop up. So now, in the spirit of true mindfulness, we're going to get away from words, talking, thinking, and we're going to practice together. Let's do a practice and experience that together. So once again, right where you are, just get comfortable in your seat. And this time, if you would, put down anything that you might be holding. And if you're comfortable, uncrossing your arms and legs if you're able to do that. Closing your eyes, either partially or fully. Taking 3 deep breaths in and out. And feel free to open your mouth on the exhale. Just release any stress your body may be holding. Just let it go. And now allowing your breath to return to its natural rhythm. And bringing your attention to your breathing. So just pay attention to what does it actually feel like to breathe. Just noticing how the breath feels as you inhale and how the breath feels as you exhale. And notice where you feel the breath most easily. This might be at the nostrils, just noticing what the breath feels like as you inhale through the nostrils and then exhale through the nostrils. Or maybe you're more aware of what the breath feels like in the chest. Feeling the lungs expand on the inhale and contract on the exhale. Or maybe you're most aware of the breath in the belly. Just noticing the belly rising on the inhale and falling on the exhale. Just the breath. There's nothing else you need to do right now. Just the breath. And if your mind wanders, that's okay. That's what our minds do. When you notice your attention's wandered off into something else, into thinking, just simply bringing your attention back to the breath. Almost like you're training a puppy dog, thinking of your wandering mind as a puppy dog. When it wanders off, you're not going to yell at the puppy. You're just going to gently, with patience, usher the puppy dog back. Over here, come on back. Noticing what this breath feels like right now. Without trying to change the breath in any way, simply allowing the breath to breathe you. And noticing where your attention is right now. And if it's off the breath, taking this opportunity to bring it back to the breath in this moment. And in this moment. And in this moment, this precious moment. And now letting attention on the breath go. And just resting quietly in your own experience, however it is. And whenever you're ready, slowly, gently opening your eyes. So I want to open it up to you now and get a chance to hear, and for you to hear from each other, what did you just experience in that practice? What did you notice? What happened for you? And so feel free, if anyone wants to share, we can hear from a few people. What did you notice? Just raise your hand. Todd will come around with the mic.
I felt the calmness,
Calm.
of relaxation.
Calm, okay. And how did you know you felt calm? Did you feel that in your body?
Yes, ma'am.
How
I
so-
focused on the breathing, like you said. And
Yeah.
when I was kind of distracted, I just focused on the breathing, in my stomach, and I felt calm and relaxed.
So you were really practicing mindfulness. You noticed when you were distracted, you kept coming back to focusing on the breath?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And then you discovered a kind of calm
Yes,
in
ma'am.
your body.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I felt we had a bit of a rough night last night, so I just sort of felt it all kind of starting to melt away, and just starting to remember that there's this huge thing behind you, as it were, that's just like infinite, and you can relax back into it, and it picks you up, and you're sort of sailing down the river again, and everything's not so bad, so to speak.
So thank you. Just curious, it sounds like you had a rough night last night, and in this practice just now, you made a choice to let that be, put it off to the side, and then...
It's not really even a choice. It just, once you start practicing, it just works, It just dissolves a lot of it. And,
so you
and
kind
your
of...
sort of anxiety level starts to come down a bit.
Okay, so you discovered something here that as...
Rediscovered might be more accurate, because I have done quite a lot of meditation in the past. Yeah.
So as you practiced, you noticed the other stuff fell away.
Yeah, it just reminds me just to keep practicing, and it's actually been pretty hard in the last, since we've had our daughter. The hardest thing is actually, it's almost impossible to get time to meditate properly.
Yeah, I bet. Can you go into the bathroom sometimes, close the door for a few minutes?
Quite a bit, yeah. But to actually sit properly and really, do it, it's pretty hard. But it doesn't take very long, If you just start practicing, you can fall back into that deeper space very quickly.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing your experience.
Thank you. Thank you for what you're bringing here today. It's very fine.
Okay, other thoughts? Well, I can tell you for myself, I drifted off, thought I was going to fall forward, twice. But I also noticed that my anxiety level was much higher than I thought it was. And it wasn't until we did this exercise that I realized how high it actually was. And that it just dropped out completely.
Wow, so you were aware of how high the anxiety was. You weren't even aware before, and then noticing, wow, and then it came down. Thank you.
Yeah, when I was trying to follow what you were saying, and I was trying to really focus and concentrate, I had this constant thought and memory that my daughter is not close to me. Oh. So I can remember, open the eyes and turn to see where she was. I don't know, I tried to focus, but at the same time always in mind on where she was and thinking that she hasn't drink a lot this morning. So constantly.
Yeah, and so noticing, those thoughts. So there's the breath, and then there's your daughter, and then just noticing, that's life. Life will call us away. There'll be moments where we're thinking or concerned about our daughter. And so how did you work with that? I'm just curious, during the practice, when you noticed your attention was going off onto your daughter and thoughts about your daughter, how did you work with that while we were doing this?
Well, I was struggling in my mind to really focus and follow where the breathing was and where
Yes.
my daughter was, and
Yes.
my attention got a bit diverted, got a bit distracted. But I was trying to follow the exercise, and I struggled a little bit. Relaxed when I was doing it right, but then constantly
Yes.
going to
Yes.
to that
So
point.
this practice is simple, but not easy. For the very reasons that you're sharing, is because our minds wander, we get distracted, we have other things that pull our attention, right? So it's not easy to keep coming back over and over to the breath. Anyone else feel distracted in moments, or like their minds were wandering, attention was wandering? So take a look around at the room. You're not alone. And that's actually what all our minds do. We're human. If we have minds, they wander. And so that's actually one of the first insights of mindfulness, is that our minds wander, we get pulled in different directions, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's important to know there's nothing wrong with that. That's just the way our brains are designed. There's reasons for it. And this practice, among others, is just designed to help you keep coming back over and over. It's like training your brain to come back over and over and over. And it takes a while, it takes practice. So just know you're not alone. Thank you so much. So I want to talk a little bit now about mindful self-compassion and what that is. Mindful self-compassion is two things. It's the awareness of when we're stressed or struggling in some way. And then the second part is responding to this with kindness. Kindness. So it's the awareness, the mindful awareness or recognition of, oh boy, I'm stressed right now, or I'm struggling or hurting right now. And then on purpose, it's turning toward myself and giving myself some support, some comforting, some kindness, whatever form that takes. We're not used to doing this. This is a radical act. Instead, we pull ourselves up by the bootstraps, we stiff upper lip it. This is real ingrained in our culture. Staying with what's tough and familiar is sometimes easier than changing the way we respond. But the good news is that we can change the way we respond. Science tells us that when we're stressed or struggling, our reptilian brain is usually activated. This is the part of our brain that is responsible for fight-flight reactivity. You're probably all familiar with that, fight-flight. Of course, we need that reaction to help keep us safe because it's linked to our survival. The problem is, though, is that that part of our brain gets activated way too often in daily life. It acts like we're endangered, we're threatened and endangered, even when we're not, just in daily life. And it reacts like that. And the problem is that when it reacts like that, it's pumping adrenaline and cortisol and mobilizing our minds and bodies in very, very stressful ways. So, when there's a bus coming at us, we need that reaction because we need to flee, get out of the way to survive, right? But when we're in daily life and maybe we're just in a rush, and then we encounter some traffic, we don't need that fight-flight reaction. It's overkill. And yet, we tend to do that even outside of our awareness. Our bodies are often contracting in this fight-flight, pumping cortisol, pumping adrenaline in our systems. And that is just not sustainable for us over the long haul. It's not healthy. It wears us down. So we need to find practices and ways to calm and soothe ourselves that are going to help us sustain. And then, when we do have a stress reaction, we need to come down from it. We need to recover from it. And we can actually help ourselves do that. How? One of the ways is by comforting and soothing ourselves. This is actually a need. Just as our children need comforting and soothing when they are distressed, so do we. So do we. It all starts with us. We need to put our oxygen mask on ourselves first before we try to put it on our child. Thankfully, we're not just reptiles, but we're also mammals. And we have something else inside of us, another system inside of us called the mammalian caregiving system, which responds to physical gestures of soothing touch. Self-compassion is an antidote to stress. We can learn a new way to comfort and soothe ourselves and tap into the mammalian caregiving system and another system that you may be familiar with called the parasympathetic nervous system that counters the stress reaction. It counters that reptilian brain reaction. So how can we do this? By learning specific skills that we can use day in and day out. So the self-compassion skills that I'm going to talk a little bit about now and then actually teach you and guide you in come from the work of Drs. Christopher Germer and Kristen Neff. Christopher Germer, a Harvard-trained psychologist, Kristen Neff, Berkeley-trained researcher, so there's hard science behind self-compassion as well. And the science tells us that we are built and designed for soothing touch. Soothing touch. It turns out that soothing touch releases oxytocin in our bodies. That's a feel-good hormone that soothes and calms us. So when a parent hugs a child who's distressed, oxytocin may be released in both their bodies, the parent and the child's bodies. And what's really exciting is that we can release oxytocin in our own bodies ourselves by giving ourselves soothing touch. So I actually want to do this with you now. I want to teach you a mindful self-compassion practice called soothing touch, and then go right into another practice called self-compassion break. So once again, if you would, right where you are, just get comfortable in your seats. Maybe putting down anything that you're holding, arriving here in the present moment, mind and body. And in order to make this more comfortable for you and give you a little bit of privacy while you explore soothing touch, I'm going to ask you to close your eyes, and that's only if you're comfortable doing that. Closing your eyes either partially or fully. This way you can cut down on the stimulation from the outside, and you can bring your attention inside. Just take a few deep breaths. And now, taking one of your hands and bringing it up to your cheek. And just pausing here for a moment, noticing what this feels like. Perhaps noticing the gentle pressure of your own hand on your face. And now bringing your other hand up to your other cheek. And just cupping your whole face and head in your hands, maybe even sinking into your hands. Just noticing what this feels like. There's nothing else you need to do right now but be right here. Noticing the support, the gentle touch. And now, taking both of your hands and placing them on opposite upper arms. So crossing your arms over your chest. And just allowing yourself, bringing all your attention into your hands for the moment, noticing where they make contact with your arms. And if you'd like, even giving a gentle squeeze, hugging yourself. Feeling the support. And now, releasing your hands and arms and placing one hand over your heart. Just taking in the warmth of your own hand on your heart region. You might even be feeling your heart beating, making contact here, making contact with yourself. And now bringing your other hand up over the hand that's already on your heart. Just allowing yourself to open to what this feels like. What this feels like in your body. In your body. So you're not thinking about this, but seeing if you can feel your way into this. And if you'd like, leaving one hand on your chest and bringing the other hand down over your belly. Protecting, supporting this whole vulnerable region of your body. Feeling the support, maybe even the safety. And now, bringing your hands down to your laps and holding your own hands. Bringing all your attention into your hands, noticing, what does this feel like? And now we're going to move into another practice. And so keeping your eyes closed, and if you'd like, keeping your hands right where they are, or placing them anywhere that they're comfortable, anywhere on your body. And now, think of a situation in your life that's difficult, that's causing you some stress. This doesn't have to be the most difficult situation, something kind of mild to moderate. There may be several options, but just choosing one for right now, for the purposes of this practice. Just one difficult situation in your life right now. And now call this situation to mind. Really see it in your mind's eye. See what's happening, where you are, who else is there, if anyone. And now see if you can drop into your body and feel if there's any tension or stress in your body. And if you don't feel any stress in your body, choose another situation that brings just a bit of stress and tension into your body. And so, seeing this situation clearly in your mind's eye, feeling the stress in your body, feeling it. And now saying to yourself internally, this is a moment of struggling. This is a moment of struggling. That's the mindfulness piece, acknowledging that struggling is here. And if that phrase doesn't work for you, you can use others. You can say, this hurts, or ouch, or this is stressful. Whatever works for you. So saying that to yourself, acknowledging what's here. And now, saying to yourself, struggling is a part of life. That's the common humanity of this. It's a part of life. And perhaps you might want to say, I'm not alone. Other people feel this way. We all struggle in our lives. And now you may choose to put your hands over your heart or anywhere on your body that feels soothing, supportive, comforting to you. Feeling the contact, feeling the warmth, the gentle pressure. And saying to yourself, may I be kind to myself. May I be kind to myself right now. You may may also want to ask yourself, what do I need to hear right now to express kindness to myself? Is there another phrase that speaks to you in your particular situation? So some examples might be, may I be strong. Or may I learn to accept myself just as I am. Or may I know that I'm enough. So finding a phrase that you need to hear right now and then saying it to yourself. Listening for what you need to hear. And if you're having difficulty finding the right words, imagine a dear friend was having the same problem as you. What would you say to that friend? And now see if you can offer that same message to yourself. And now, releasing any phrases or words, releasing the practice altogether. And just resting quietly in your experience, just as it is right now. And as you're ready, slowly opening your eyes. And so once again, I want to open it up to you and just get a chance to hear from anyone who cares to share. What did you experience in that practice? Either of those practices, whether it was the soothing touch or the self-compassion break, or both. What did you notice? What did you experience? So just raising your hand, Todd can come around.
I noticed that I have trouble quieting my mind, but I do feel physically more relaxed, and I feel actually lighter.
Lighter, you said?
But you have a very soothing voice, so that helps. I don't know if I could do that without, hearing you speak.
Well, thank you for sharing, and it sounds like it was distracting in moments, and that sounds like just what our minds do. And then, how did you work with that when your mind would kind of wander off or you'd get distracted? What did you do?
I would tell myself just to stop and try not to think about anything.
Oh, you know what? I'm having trouble hearing you.
I would just try not to think about anything. Just
Okay.
basically tell myself, just clear your mind, don't think about anything else. And maybe, I guess, pull myself back into trying to relax.
So you kept kind of pulling yourself back to, let's say, the phrases or the words?
Yeah.
So that was helpful to kind of anchor yourself back in the words? Okay, thank you. That's the practice, and thank you.
I think we got time for one more comment. Anybody else? They're all so calm now. They
Yeah, I was going to
Yeah.
say, and sometimes after these practices, you may notice you just want to sit quietly in your experience. That's okay. That's okay.
Okay. Anything else? Oh, okay.
Well, one thing that I notice is having a busy lifestyle, both work and at home, is to find that quiet spot. And a lot of times my quietness is actually driving. I have a very long commute. And it's kind of interesting because you see most drivers are not so relaxed. And so I think it's getting to realize that, how busy our lives are.
Yes.
And to try to step back and, I don't know, I've never done the touching thing before. I noticed my hands are way too hot.
Hot.
Yeah.
So you notice lots of heat, huh?
A lot of heat in my hands. I was thinking, okay, let me find a place that I don't have skin on skin.
Okay. Maybe even over your clothes. That may
Clothes
be a
was
little
better.
easier.
Yeah, the lap was good.
Yeah. Yeah. So you were experimenting. You were exploring. It's like you discovered, wow, hot hands. And so then you could keep experimenting.
I'm a teenager all over again.
Yeah, you're discovering that today.
No.
So really, though, it can take a little, experimenting with what works for you. This is the first time you've ever done it, and you can kind of, if you're willing, continue to experiment with that. See what works for you.
Well, what I did notice, though, this morning, my daughter was leaning into me, and she literally fell asleep. And she could feel my stomach expanding, decreasing, expanding. I mean, she was just so it's comfortable, right?
Wow.
So I think that's what you're trying to, I guess, do for us now.
That's beautiful, though, doing it in connection with your child.
Yeah.
Sounds like you were very aware
Yeah.
in those moments.
Yeah. No, you do. You see that, and it feels good to cuddle with these children. So.
Yeah. Amen. Thank you.
Yeah. I used to do that with mine when she was much smaller. And yeah, that's the best nap I ever took in my life.
Yes.
So just for the sake of time, because we have our next speaker lined up, raise your hand. How many people want Cassondra to come to your house every day for about 3 hours? Let's just record her voice, and every time you get stressed out, you'll just listen to her. I want to thank you. Did you have any closing remarks?
Is it okay if I just do a little bit more? Is that all right? Just to
We got
close?
about 2 minutes.
Okay,
So,
okay, all right. So I want to be mindful of your time, respectful. So it's actually skillful to stop, pause, notice when you're stressed, and then tend to it. Give yourself care. This can help you shift to a whole new place that your children are going to sense and experience as well. Also, you can actively teach soothing touch to your children. What would that be like? First of all, you might be giving them a skill they may be able to use in their lifetime. And then in addition to that, imagine sitting across from your child, guiding them in soothing touch. It's very simple. Sharing moments like that with your child. Todd has been kind enough to say that he would post the self-compassion break up on the website, so you're free to access it there. If some of you would like to practice with that, it may help to have a written version of it, just so you can get used to it, memorize it, and then use it. With all the chronic stressors and challenges that you face, try something new. Think of difficult moments as opportunities to ask yourself, how can I be kinder to myself? How can I be kinder? And also ask yourself when stressors arise, what can I do right now to support and soothe myself? You might try practicing soothing touch or self-compassion break. And let me just say something real quick about those two practices. You can practice them formally, which is what we just did, Close your eyes, set aside time, and do them. But you can also practice these practices informally, which means in your daily life, when you're on the go, they're portable. You can use them at any time. So any moment during the day you notice, whoa, I'm stressed, I'm having a hard time right now. You can do soothing touch, and if you're in public and you don't want to do this, you don't want to put your hands on your heart, you can easily do other ones that are more discreet. Hold your own hands or find a way to do it that is more discreet and comfortable for you. You can use the self-compassion break by just saying the phrases internally to yourself. No one has to know. It's an inside job, so it's portable. In closing, I invite you to tap into your own natural resources and be your own inner ally, no matter what you face. It all starts here with you. So thank you so much for allowing me into a little piece of your lives. Thank you.
All right. Fantastic. Thank you, Cassondra.